All right, so this is a PowerPoint that I do normally do in school. And while I'm doing it, I do actually demonstrate the titration lab procedure. So clearly I'm not going to be able to do that today. I'm doing the best I can by putting some more pictures into the PowerPoint to try to demonstrate the idea. The pictures that I'm using are taken from the video that I put in the If You're Taking AP Next Year folder. So if you are taking AP next year, please watch the whole video. This is an extremely valuable technique. You'll actually do it twice in AP, and usually you get a really good experience with it in GT, and you are missing out on that this year. So at the very least, please watch that whole video. So yesterday, meaning lesson 1 of this week, you learned about neutralization reactions, did some calculations with them, and we talked about the fact that the acid and the base run out at the same time or consumed at the same time. They're both limiting. So in a neutralization reaction, it's only truly neutral if the saltwater product is neutral. That is, it's only truly neutral if the moles of hydrogen equal the moles of hydroxide in the solution. There's no extra acid, no extra base left over. So it's nice and all, but is it useful? Sure, it's useful. We can use neutralization reactions to determine the concentration of an unknown acid or base. This lab procedure is called titration. And there are other types of titration as well. Acid and base is what people always start with, so it's kind of our simplest one. But this is a tried and true analytical technique used by chemists on a regular basis. People have been doing it this way for quite some time now. And it's a way to measure the concentration of an unknown. So let's say you went out into the field and you collected a water sample from somewhere and you're, I don't know, studying acid rain, for example. You want to find out what the concentration of acid is in this sample. This is a way you could actually measure that amount of acid. So titration. Titration means to determine the unknown concentration of a solution by the addition of a second solution with known concentration. In our case, the two solutions will be acid and base. When the acid of unknown concentration is neutralized, then that means the moles of H plus equal the moles of OH minus. We know that that's what neutralization means. So if you're measuring the amount of OH minus you're putting into the solution, then that means you know how many moles of OH minus you've added. If you know how many moles of OH minus you've added, well, now you know the moles of H plus because they're equal to each other. Once you know the moles of H plus, you can calculate the concentration of the acid. Moles converts to molarity by dividing by a volume. So the question is, how are we going to know when we've added the right amount of hydroxide? So think about it. Let's say we're using HCl and NaOH. HCl is a clear liquid, NaOH is a clear liquid. Salt water is a clear liquid. So you add one clear liquid to another clear liquid and get a clear liquid. It all looks like water. How would you know that you've put in the right amount, that you've reached the neutralization point? Well, you're going to need an indicator. And we've talked about pH indicators already. An indicator is a chemical that changes color at different pH, thus it visually indicates the pH of the solution. So when the pH reaches neutral, we're going to choose an indicator that will turn to a different color at that correct pH so that we know we've hit the end point. So the indicator tells us we've reached the end point of the titration. The end point is basically the end of the experiment. It's when the solution is actually neutral. It tells us that the moles of H plus equal the moles of OH minus. So the color of the indicator says you've now reached neutral. Time to stop. All right, so here's where I'd normally do a demo, and I'd have a flask in front of me and I'd be swirling stuff around and you would see the colors. So I'm going to try to do that with pictures this time. So we start with a measured volume of acid of unknown concentration. So we collected our acid from the field. Maybe we got 100 milliliters of it. We don't know what the concentration is. We take 10 milliliters of that as a sample that we're going to analyze. So we know the volume of acid we have. Then we're going to add measured volumes of base of a known concentration until we reach neutralization. So the base, we made that solution. We created the solution of the base, so we know its concentration. And we're going to add a little bit at a time until the color of the indicator is just right, and then we'll know we've hit neutralization. And if we measure how much base we add each time, then when we've hit neutralization, not only do we know the molarity of the base, but we also know the volume of the base. So it's important that you're paying attention to the color of the solution in the flask. That's going to tell you when you've reached the end point, when you've finished the experiment. So you got to be able to measure the volume of the base. And that's what this instrument does for you. This is a burette. It's clamped onto a ring stand. You actually have seen the burette before. I used it for a demonstration a long time ago. It has a valve at the bottom. That's what the white and blue thing is down there. And it dispenses liquid in a thin stream. And it very accurately measures for you how much you've dispensed. It's calibrated just like a graduated cylinder would be. It has lines on it, and you can read the volume from there. So you can read and find out how much liquid did I dispense when you've reached the neutralization point. So at the bottom of the burette, underneath it, you put your flask. This is the flask that would have our unknown acid in it, for example. You've got it sitting under the bottom of the burette, and it's ready to dispense. This is a close-up of the valve. You can see he's turning that blue part. And this picture is showing that there's a little hole in the valve. So I'm going to try to circle that for you. That right there, that's a little hole in the valve. So right now this valve is closed because we can see the hole. If you turn the handle and the valve's lined up with the burette, then liquid can flow through that hole. So you're controlling the flow rate of liquid coming through very precisely with this valve. You actually have to practice. You have to get good at using this instrument. And we usually spend a whole day just learning how to use this burette and how to read the numbers off it properly. Now he's actually titrating the sample, and let's take a look at the different parts of this picture, what's going on. So down here in this flask, this is your acid. And before we started, we measured the volume of that acid, okay? We know what that is. Let's say it's 10 milliliters. Let's just pick something. What we don't know is the concentration of the acid. The whole point of the experiment is to find out what the concentration of the acid is. That's what we're after. All right, so up here is hands covering the burette. There's the valve right there. Liquid is coming out of this and flowing down into the flask. That liquid is the base. All right, the base is in the burette. And we made that base, which means we know the concentration of hydroxide in the base, okay? Let's pick something. Let's say we made 0.5 molar, all right? So we are in control of that. We know what it is. Now, as we are adding the base, we're going to be able to figure out the exact volume of base that we put in there. So when we're done with the experiment, we'll have a number for this. We don't have it yet. We're in the middle of the experiment here. We're still going along, but eventually we're going to know that number. So in the end, we will know all about that base. We won't know all about the acid, but we'll be able to calculate the molarity of the acid. So hopefully that sounds familiar to you and you just said to yourself, oh wait, we already did those calculations. Those are the calculations I taught you in lesson 1. It's the exact same thing. There's nothing new there. It's just we use the word titration instead of the word neutralization. That's it. All right, the last thing to notice about this picture is this nice, pretty light pink color down here. So the acid started out clear. We put some phenolphthalein in there, which is the indicator. The indicator that we're going to use is clear in acid and pink in base. So when you first put the phenolphthalein into the acid, you don't see anything because the phenolphthalein is clear at a low pH. But as soon as you start adding some base to that flask, right there where the base is striking that liquid, suddenly the pH jumps up really high and you start to see a pink color because it's indicating, hey, I have a higher pH here. So if you stop adding base and just swirl this flask around a little bit, you can get all of that base to react with the acid and the pink color disappears. It goes back to being clear because once all the hydroxide has been consumed in the reaction, you have extra acid left over because you haven't reached neutralization yet, and it goes back to clear. So you're paying attention to that pink color. And in the beginning, the pink color is going to disappear really fast. It's going to be really light pink and disappear very quickly. This is a little further down the road where we've got a good bit of base in there now. Now when you add the base, that color lingers longer and it's more intense. It's a darker color. So we can see we got more pink going on right here now because we're getting closer to the end point, closer to the neutralization point. Now, if we go past the neutralization point, oops, we went too far here. This is a really dark pink. This is indicating that the solution is completely basic, way past neutral. So this is called overshooting the end point. This is going too far. So if this happens, there are ways to fix it. You can try again, you can recover from it. And eventually what you're trying to do is get a nice light pink color, not this dark, dark pink color. So this one was a boo-boo. This was a messed up one, but the person could try again. So this shows 2 flasks. This one on the right here is absolutely overshot. This one here, you can just barely see a little bit of pink color in there. That's a nice, good end point. That's the way your end point should look, nice and light. Here's another example of a good endpoint. So he's not putting any more base in there. You can see that there's no liquid streaming out up here. He's just swirling it around a little bit. You can barely see the pink color, nice and light. That pink color may even disappear after a minute or so. That's what a proper endpoint looks like. So once he gets that nice light pink color, he knows, great, I'm done, I've stopped. I can figure out how much base I've put into this flask by reading the information off of the burette. So that means you know the volume of the acid because you measured it when you put it in the flask, the volume of the base because you just measured it from the burette, and the molarity of the base because you made the base. You created that solution yourself. What you don't know is the molarity of the acid. That's the whole point of the experiment, is to calculate the molarity of the acid, this acid sample that you collected somewhere that you don't know what the concentration is. So we're going to go to the worksheet, and again, I can do an example for you, and you're going to see it's very much like what you already learned how to do.